McMahon, you said, I believe last week that you thought that the Jazz would make a Donovan Mitchell trade before the opener. And it sounds to me in talking to people around the league that the Jazz want to try to go even sooner than that they want to go before training camp. Now,
yes,
some of this,
of course.
Yeah, some of this could be an arbitrary deadline. You always see this in trades where a team says they invent a deadline to force a team into action because they know that teams make their best offers when there's a deadline. The real trade deadline isn't obviously until February. So,
right.
But it does sound, as I talk to folks in the league, like the Jazz are trying to apply the gas here, trying to juice the offers, especially juice the offer from the New York Knicks.
Right. And that's, it's basically they're trying to get the Knicks to put the kind of offer that it will take to get Donovan Mitchell on the table before training camp, because we've talked about this. Will Hardy, you just hired him. You gave him a long-term contract, 5-year deal. He's a 34-year-old first-time head coach. Not that he can't overcome having a total circus as he starts his rookie training camp, essentially as a head coach. But man, that would be certainly less than ideal to throw him into that kind of a situation, as opposed to, okay, everybody understands this franchise is just starting a rebuild, and give him a chance to lay the foundation without having the dominant storyline being the Donovan Mitchell drama.
Well, look, more importantly than that, they're trying to win 16 games and be in the best position possible to get Victor Wembanyama. And to do that, having Donovan Mitchell on the team is not going to help with that. So it's part of why Patrick Beverley got traded yesterday, part of why I expect more of their vets to get traded the next couple months. And it's why, to your point, man, it doesn't make sense for the Jazz to have him on the team when training camp starts, and it doesn't make sense for the Knicks to not have him on the team when training camp starts.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's just a matter of seeing where this gets to the end.
Yeah. If you're the Knicks, you're trying to get this guy and have him be your franchise player, him and Brunson be, the backcourt, the new backcourt for now and for years to come. You want as much time with those guys in the gym together practicing as possible. So I think it's in both teams' best interest to get this deal done before camp starts, but it is an artificial deadline. And we all understand that Danny Ainge is not going to pull the trigger until he gets his price.
So to me, if I'm in the Jazz front office, I am trying to get as many unprotected Knicks picks as I can get in this trade. Now, I know that there's other picks that they have. They have picks that they got from Oklahoma City on draft night that are protected first-round picks. The Knicks actually own the Wizards draft pick and control when the Wizards can make the next trade, because the Wizards have a pick that they traded to Houston that has protections on it. Now, when you have protections on
this is the pick from the John Wall deal that Oklahoma City got in the Alperen Şengün deal, and now went to the Knicks in this draft.
And for the Osman Jang deal, if you want to.
Yes, and then they have the Washington pick, and then they have the Detroit pick that I think originally went to same Houston to OKC. I think that's originally from like Trevor Ariza.
They have 3 extra picks besides theirs. One of them is also Dallas's pick.
Dallas is this year, which is top 10. So you can expect that one to be, the other 2, I think you're going to have to wait on because the protections de-escalates.
Right, but the chances of that pick being a lottery pick of those other 3 picks are much farther out. So
correct.
Again, you can, I know that people are focusing on the number of picks. How many picks in total can the Knicks offer? But the reality is the quality of those picks matter, because one unprotected Knicks pick in the right year can be worth all 3 of those protected picks. So that, to me, Bontemps, is what the Jazz are trying to do here. And what they're trying to pull out of the Knicks is many. They can trade up to 4. That's what they're legally allowed to trade. That's what they're going to want. And so that, to me, is the basis. It's not the only thing that's going on in Donovan Mitchell talks, but that's the basis of what's going on here.
Yeah. I mean, I think, certainly I would say it's a combination, right? The Knicks have the most stuff to offer, period, which helps. And as you said, their history would say that if you bet on Knicks unprotected picks, you're probably going to be in pretty good shape. And let's also be honest. Like, look, I mean, you mentioned like Charlotte. I would rather have Charlotte unprotected picks than the Knicks. Like, if you're ranking those assets, but Charlotte's not, I wouldn't think, giving up the same number of unprotected picks and the same number of picks as the Knicks are in a trade. Like,
I think they're also encumbered.
Well, they are, but
even
let's say they give up three. If they gave up 3 unprotected firsts in the future, I think Utah would probably do that because there's a good chance that is going to be a disaster in Charlotte down the road if they make that trade, because Donovan's probably not going to stay there. Who knows what happens with LaMelo Ball? That could get messy really fast for them. But the reason why the Knicks sit there as a likely team is that Donovan Mitchell wants to be on the Knicks. Right. So if you're giving up these unprotected picks, if you're the Knicks, you think, hey, we've got this guy not just for the next 3 years, but for the next 10. And that's where the calculus comes in, where if you're the Knicks, you give up these picks, you get this guy, you get him in the building, you then have somebody that can potentially draw other stars there. Because as we've seen for years now, the Knicks have been trying to get in the room with star players and have been failing to do so. This would give them a guy who could recruit guys there. And again, like you look at these other teams, like Cleveland has nothing to trade. Charlotte really has nothing to trade. Washington has nothing to trade. Like these teams that are being rumored as potential challengers to the
Washington
Knicks
has a couple of interesting young players, but I don't think
not really.
Not really. I mean, the Knicks very clearly can put the best offer on the table. The Knicks are trying not to bid against themselves.
That's right.
The Jazz are trying to create a market where the Knicks are bidding against other teams, but like, we don't know when it happens. We don't know the terms, but I'm pretty sure we know what ends up happening. And that's Donovan Mitchell gets traded to the Knicks. And it's not just, it's about which picks. Is there any protection? What is the protection? How light is the protection? All that kind of stuff. How many picks? And then which young players? And then the salary filler. And the salary filler matters because, for example, Derrick Rose, who the Jazz have traded for before and released, is an expiring deal where I believe Fournier has one more guaranteed year left. Just stuff like, so there's a lot of different things that are part of the discussion. But again, my guess is this gets done close to the start of camp and he ends up in New York.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.